Hi folks, did you all see all the Delphi documents that dropped yesterday? I want to touch on some of them, the prosecution ones mainly. There was a big motion also from Richard Allen and his defence team requesting Judge Gull remove herself from the case as expected. But I might cover that in a separate video, as I think I want to break it down in a bit more detail with a PowerPoint and do a standalone video, because I think that will help some people with the arguments that they are making. But with regards to what the prosecution filed yesterday, Slick Nick, who never trialed a murder case before this, seems to be getting a bit desperate in my opinion. He was very busy yesterday. Was it Michelle from Michelle After Dark who gave him the nickname Slick Nick? Because I love a good nickname. I'm going to steal that. It is much better than the nickname I have for him, Nick the Prick. And to be fair, I'm not sure he's that. I'm just very wary of him. He seems to have a unique ability to get people, when he meets them face to face, to get them on his side, regardless of actual facts. I am 99.9% certain he was a little sneaky teacher's pet in school. He has Judge Gull wrapped around his fingers. She thinks there is nobody like him. He's playing some podcasters like a fiddle and has them doing dirty work for him on the sly. A lot of people have clicked onto that. I will say though, he must have something about him personally that people who meet him really, really like, which could be a huge factor with a jury. And he's going to need to rely heavily on that, I think, because he seems to be lacking a lot of evidence here if he wants to try and convict Richard Allen. So he filed a number of things yesterday. A motion to compel discovery. This is basically the prosecution team, I think, are looking for names of the expert witnesses that the defence team plans on calling. They seem to be very worried about that, and so they should be, because the witnesses here for ballistics will tear apart what the prosecution is trying to say about the bullet. So I think Slick Nick is just trying to get ahead of himself there, get the names, do some study, research on them, figure out what type of arguments they're going to make, and try and counter that. But he's going to have a tough time there. He also filed a response to the defence's motion to transfer, basically saying Richard Allen, a pre-trial detainee, should be kept where he is in a prison and not moved to a jail like every other pre-trial detainee in the States. He has a big whinge saying, wah, you ruled on this already, Judge. They lied to you, remember, wah. He says that he has no objection to him being moved, but she shouldn't move him because they exaggerated in past filings. And she already ruled on this, and she's the best judge ever. And then late last night, he filed a motion asking the court to essentially start proceedings against the attorneys again, this time to try and kick him off the case and follow the process. So he wants to find them in contempt of court. Despite Slick Nick being in a really great position when it comes to this trial, he got a sneak peek at a lot of the defence's trial strategy. He got the trial delayed. He has a judge firmly on his side. It's not enough. He still wants them gone. He needs them gone, because I think he knows deep down he can't win a fair trial with these guys as Richard Allen's defence team. And that is very bad for his career, which is probably the most important thing in all of this for Nick. It's a really boring document considering everyone has been over this stuff for weeks. The same stuff that the Supreme Court was having none of. Himself and Judge Gull basically threw some shit at a wall to see what would stick. Nothing stuck. So now he's after picking up the shit and he's throwing it at the wall again. He has, however, learned something of Baldwin and Rossi, because the motion he filed, he's now doing what they're doing. He's using motions to get information out there to the public. It's just so weak, because we already know all of this, and we already heard opinions of the Supreme Court justices on a lot of this. Even though Gull's lawyer was like, no, please don't look into the merits. She has discretion, so she can do what she wants. Don't look at the details. So Slick Nick is bringing them all back up here again, talking about the defence team releasing a press release that was issued before a gag order. The prosecutors had a press conference, but that doesn't matter because Nick wants one rule for him and another rule for the defence. Seriously, how is that even in here again? Like, is it because they want to show a pattern over a period of time? But it's just ridiculous. People aren't fools, and he's losing people very early on with that in the argument. The Supreme Court justices were practically laughing at this. They were confused that someone in their position would put this forward. And that's one of three things that he comes up with. It's the same stuff, the press release, the email that Andrew sent to a defendant instead of Brad, which was 100% human error, happens to everybody, was not a big deal at the time, but suddenly became a big deal 12 months later. And then his main event, the leaks from Wasterman that he stole from Baldwin's office. The same person who has been arrested and charged for this. Like, the Supreme Court went over all of this, and when they give their written verdict, I think that might be coming any day now. Like, I think they're going to reference this, and I think they'll reference and maybe set some precedent for rules around kicking defence teams or prosecutors off a case due to crime scene leaks. He's also, by the way, telling some lies here. He's been very dramatic, saying he was notified about the leaks from family members of Abby and Libby. That's not true. He was notified by Anya and Kevin. He acts like these photos are all over the internet when they're not. I've not seen them. I don't want to see them. I don't think many people have. He also acts like these photos are photos that the family of the girls will never ever see. But like, they're going to see them at a trial anyway. It's just a load of rubbish again. However, Judge Fanny Gull will no doubt fall up over herself trying to schedule a hearing for this. Long term, I just can't see it going anywhere. I think if she tries to kick them again, they'll get back on an appeal. She's only hurting herself here. Like, before she does that, she needs to deal with what the defence filed yesterday. A motion for her to recuse herself. It's like 25 pages long, so it'll probably take her weeks to read that. Even if she bothers, she might skim over it at best, I suppose. But I think that document is an eye-opener for anyone who thinks Judge Francis Gull is not biased. I thought they laid it out very, very well, and we learned some new things, like the fact that she's delaying paying them. She's delaying invoices. They're going 3-4 months without any payment. They have staff. They're literally begging her to sign off the invoices so they can pay their staff. She just can't help herself. She has to go. She needs to do the honourable thing here and just recuse yourself. Like, who do you think you are? Look at the mess you've created, and you think you're the only judge in Indiana that can handle this case. I just don't see how this case can carry on with this black cloud of her bias hanging over it. Like, even if she believes, and she probably does believe, that she's not biased, like, the right thing to do when you become this much of a topic in a case like this is to recuse yourself. She's making a fool of herself, and like, is it 3-4 times she applied to be on the Supreme Court herself? Like, she applied to be on the Supreme Court and failed. So you know the ruling last week is going to hurt her big time. I don't think that she's going to recuse herself at this stage, although it will be very interesting to see her reaction when the written verdict from the Supreme Court comes out, because I think that could really pull her up on some things. Like, she's a part of, it feels like a battle now, this case. On one side you have the judge and you have the prosecutor, and then on the other side you have Richard Allen and you have his attorneys. It's ridiculous. It shouldn't be like that. Even yesterday we have Richard Allen's attorneys putting in a motion for the judge to recuse herself. A couple of hours later, a bit sloppy, I wouldn't be surprised if he only typed it up yesterday, in comes Slick Nick to her defence. You're not the problem, judge, they're the problem. I think also Richard Allen's defence should file for a speedy trial. Put some pressure on. Nick doesn't want that at all. Judge Gull doesn't want it either, because then she'd probably have to start reading her documents, wouldn't she? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on what was released. I will link everything released down below, and I'll link a few live streams as well from some decent channels who were talking about this yesterday and going over some of the documents. Let me know your thoughts. Good luck. God bless. I hope everyone has a nice day.